Magnus Carlsen just turned the board into a tactical slaughterhouse, sacrificing material in a way that defies conventional logic. You are watching the final round of Norway Chess 2025, and Arjun Erigaisi, one of the fiercest young talents in the world, just found himself in a position that would make even the strongest supercomputers sweat bullets. Is this a genius positional trap, or has the world champion finally lost his mind? Today, we are breaking down this absolute bloodbath, uncovering the deep secrets of the Queen's Gambit decline, and explaining why this game will be taught in chess academies for decades to come. By playing pawn c4 takes pawn d5, Arjun Erigaisi steers the game into the exchange variation. This is the ultimate anti-fun opening for those who want to play solid, dry, and positional chess. The goal here is simple: neutralize black's central pressure and reach an endgame where white's structure is marginally better. However, against someone like Magnus, this is a dangerous game to play. By trading off the pawns early, Arjun is essentially telling Magnus, "I'm going to outplay you in a symmetrical structure." It is a test of pure technique, but Magnus is the king of technique. Watch how he reacts to the early simplification. Bishop g5. This is the standard, aggressive approach in the exchange variation. White pins the knight on f6 to the queen on d8, forcing black to make concessions. If black is not careful, white can quickly seize the initiative in the center. Notice the tension building. Arjun is looking to control the e5 square, while Magnus is trying to maintain his dark-squared bishop. This is exactly the type of high-level maneuvering where even the smallest inaccuracy leads to a crushing positional disadvantage. The engine is currently hovering at near equality, which is exactly what both players want at this stage of the game. Pawn f3. This is an extremely ambitious move by Arjun. He is reinforcing his center and preparing to expand on the queen side, but he is also weakening his king's safety slightly. By playing pawn f3, he is clearly playing for a win, not a draw. He wants to restrict the mobility of the black pieces and gain space. However, Magnus is never one to let his opponent have things their own way. He recognizes that every move like pawn f3 has a trade-off. Can Arjun handle the counterplay that comes from the weakened e3 and g3 squares? It is a high-risk, high-reward strategy that sets the stage for the chaos to follow. Pawn e4. This is the thematic break in the Queen's Gambit declined, and Arjun is not waiting around. He blows the center wide open. This move is incredibly dangerous because it invites tactical complications that can spin out of control. The tension on the d5 square is gone, but in its place, we have a massive center battle. Arjun is betting that his central control will outweigh the vulnerability of his pieces. Magnus, ever the opportunist, senses that the board is becoming volatile. This is the moment where the game transitions from a positional grind to a tactical minefield. Knight a4, a very creative maneuver. Arjun is trying to reroute his knight to a more active square, potentially eyeing the c5 or b6 outposts. This is sophisticated piece play. By repositioning the knight, he hopes to create a nuisance for Magnus and force him to defend his queenside. But wait, look at what Magnus has waiting in the wings. Magnus has been biding his time, and his pieces are perfectly coordinated to exploit any lapse in concentration. The knight on a4 looks good, but is it too far from the action? Pawn f4 takes pawn e4. The tension snaps. With this exchange, the files are opening up, and the game becomes incredibly concrete. Every single calculation now matters. Arjun is trying to maintain his structure, but he has left his bishop on h4 somewhat exposed. Magnus is calculating with surgical precision. If you blink, you will miss the tactical nuance here. This is the Carlsen filter, where he slowly narrows down the options until there is only one winning path, and he manages to find it every single time. Knight takes e4. This is the move that changes everything. Magnus sacrifices the integrity of his pawn structure to activate his pieces. The knight on e4 is an absolute monster. It exerts pressure on f2, d2, and the center, and it complicates Arjun's defensive task significantly. By placing the knight in the heart of White's position, Magnus is inviting Arjun to capture it. But if Arjun takes, the queen enters the fray with devastating effect. It is a brilliant piece of dynamic play that puts the pressure squarely back on the young grandmaster. Queen takes c6. Arjun grabs a pawn, trying to justify his play with material gain. But this is where the game turns into a horror movie for White. By taking the pawn, Arjun opens up the c-file for Magnus' rooks. This is a classic poison pawn scenario. The material is nice, but the positional damage is massive. Magnus sees the tactic. He is baiting Arjun into this capture, knowing that his pieces will soon swarm the White king. It is a masterclass in risk management versus long-term positional compensation. Queen takes a8. Wait, did he just take the rook? Arjun is clearly going for the material win, but Magnus has calculated the follow-up perfectly. This move looks like a winning transition for White, but Black has a crushing counterattack. The queen on a8 is now completely out of play. It is almost like White is playing a piece down because the queen is stranded in the corner. Magnus' pieces are now a well-oiled machine, targeting the weak White king. This is the point where the engine evaluation swings wildly in favor of the world champion. Queen e3 check. This is the gotcha moment. The king has no good squares. The queen and the knight are working in perfect harmony to create a mating net. Arjun is forced to move his king to h1, but the damage is already done. Magnus has turned a quiet positional game into a devastating mating attack in the span of just 3 moves. This is why he is the greatest. The transition from subtle maneuvering to ruthless tactical annihilation is practically instantaneous. Knight f4. A desperate attempt to defend. Arjun is trying to block the influence of the black queen and provide some air for his king. But Magnus is not letting up. He has identified the weakness on the d4 square and is preparing to bring his remaining forces into the attack. At this level, it is not about finding the best move. It is about finding the only move that keeps the game alive. Arjun is struggling to find any breathing room as the pressure continues to mount. Knight f8. A quiet, yet incredibly profound move. Magnus simply retreats the knight to prepare the final blow. It is like he is putting his pieces on a shelf, ready to be deployed for the final checkmate sequence. Arjun is completely tied up. His pieces are paralyzed, and he can do nothing but watch as the world champion executes his plan. This is the definition of a total positional collapse. Magnus Carlsen hasn't just won the game. He has demoralized his opponent through sheer tactical dominance. What a game! Magnus Carlsen proves once again why he is in a league of his own, turning a symmetrical Queen's Gambit into a tactical masterpiece that left even the best engines in the world scrambling for answers. Arjun Erigaisi played a brave game, but you simply cannot give an inch to the world champion. If you enjoyed this deep dive breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Chess 64 Elite Academy right now for more elite chess content.